Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ, bless. All praises. Happy Feast of Dedication. We want to welcome you to our Feast of Dedication Convocation. All praises. We just want to, send a shout out to all those that's celebrating during this time. All praises. Whether you got it coming up, whether you're celebrating it right now, all praises. It's still in the season. We in the season. All right? It's the season for believing in the Most High Yahweh Shai and Christ. You understand? All right. All praises. So let's just get straight into it. Now, many of you who just came into the truth, all right, you came in celebrating Christmas. You came in celebrating Thanksgiving Day. And, most of you during this time of year, you're looking forward to kissing under the mistletoe. You're looking for reindeers sniffing at your window, right? You're looking forward to that, right? But here's the thing. What you got to understand, and we're going to explain this in subsequent classes to come, the origin of Christmas. Christmas is not your tradition. It's not your culture as an Israelite. If you are a Negro, Hispanic, or Indigenous, you are an Israelite. You got brought over, your ancestors got brought over on cargo slave ships. You are an Israelite. All right? And thus, you came over here in captivity because your forefathers transgressed the Lord's holy covenant. And thus, you got fed traditions. You got fed culture, a culture that was not yours. Yes? And for many centuries, you partook in cultures, traditions that were not native to your people. I hope everyone understands this. So Christmas was not native to the Israelites. None of the Israelites in the Bible ever celebrated Christmas. The disciples didn't celebrate it. The apostles didn't celebrate it. And Christ himself did not give any such command to celebrate something called Christmas, even though they gave it that name. But prior to that, it wasn't called Christmas. All right? But again, we'll get into some of that. We got some days coming up where people are in that spirit of celebrating that thing. So we're going to break that thing down so you can understand that that's not something you're supposed to. It's pagan. You're not supposed to celebrate it. It came from Nimrod and the veneration of Nimrod and defying Nimrod and turning him into a god and celebrating him by representing him as a tree. And you bending under the tree to bow to the tree, giving the tree gifts so that you can receive goodwill and favor for the next 365 days to come, till the next year comes around where you put more gifts under the tree of Nimrod. So many of you are prepping yourselves. I saw them on the weekend. They're prepping themselves. I saw many persons on Friday buying Nimrod trees. I'm like, wow, look at this. We got a whole nation of people buying trees of Nimrod, stuffing them in their car, right? And I'm like, wow, if our people only knew that was the tree of Nimrod, they would not be, well, then again, I can't. Let me take that back. Some people, they know it's the tree of Nimrod. They know it's the tree of an idol. They know it's idolatry, but they like the feeling that it gives to them. And because of the feeling that it gives to them, they will still go and get the Nimrod tree. All right? So that's what it is. It's a Nimrod tree. All right? So we'll break some of that stuff down. But we're going to get into the importance of the Feast of Dedication, the origin of it. Why do we celebrate Feast of Dedication as opposed to celebrating, the veneration of Nimrod, a.k.a. Christmas, right? The winter solstice celebrations that came from another nation, all right? So, For those of you that's wondering, really quickly, when it comes to the Feast of Dedication, yes, you can decorate. Yes, you can put up your lights and your decor and things that pertain to Feast of Dedication. You can put that up. You can pretty up your atmosphere, and, we know the sisters love, decor and, homemaking and all of those nice accoutrements that, put you in the spirit of the quote-unquote holidays. But it's holy days. These are holy days, and that's what the word holiday comes from. Holy days. Holy days that the Lord commanded us to keep. So our culture for your people, the Israelites, is Feast of Dedication, a.k.a. in the Hebrew, Hanukkah. Okay? So we'll get into that so you can have an appreciation and be proud of your feast day. All right? Good. All praises. So we'll start out by reading the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Apocrypha, the King James Bible Apocrypha, contains 14 books that was taken out by the Protestant church in the late 1800s. But prior to the 1800s, it was a part of all Bibles. Every single Bible contained the missing 14 books. It's just that today it's not canonized in there because it was taken out by the Protestant church. I hope everyone understands. So these original scriptures was contained in the original Bible. So you need to get yourself an original Bible that contains the 14 missing books that your favorite New Age Catholic Church, the Protestants, removed and they took out. All right? So we'll get into it. Now, for those of you that's following online, you don't have an Apocrypha, you can go to kingjamesbibleonline.org and you can find 1 Maccabees. Again, you can go to kingjamesbibleonline.org and look for the book of 1 Maccabees. All praises. So we're reading from 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
Read on.
And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations.
Spoils of many nations. So you're reading about the account of what happened that led up to us celebrating the Feast of Dedication. Read on.
Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his hat was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
Tributaries means taxes. They became taxes unto him. During the Grecian Empire, everyone had to pay them taxes, but then, like I mentioned in classes before, when Rome overtook them, Rome instituted an even more fiercer taxation system. Read on.
And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth,
that came up with him from his youth,
and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Read on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years.
Good. So Alexander, all right, he reigned 12 years, right? Alexander the Great. Read on.
And then died.
Then he died. Come on.
And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Evils got multiplied in the earth afterwards. Read on.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus.
So Antiochus, he succeeded after Alexander. Come on.
Surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
Good. So he reigned during this time, right? He succeeded Alexander. He succeeded his father, who was also of the same name. Okay? And now he reigned in the 130th and 7th year in the kingdom of the Greeks. Read on. So you're getting some Grecian background. And what happened to our people being under the Grecian rule during that time? Read on.
And in those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Wicked men went out of Israel. Come on.
Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
So your forefathers decided to be wicked and say, let's go make a covenant with the heathen. Come on.
That are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
For since they departed, they had much sorrows. Come on.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
So they got free will to go and do after the ways of the heathen. Come on.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
So who know what this place of exercise is called? It's called a gymnasium. And you know what happened in the Grecian gymnasiums? Who could tell me, Brother Daniel? You know what happened in Grecian gymnasiums? Homosexual activities. That's where they get the frat boys and the sorority girls from. You know what they do to frat boys when they're hazing? You know what hazing is? You know what hazing is? I'll explain it in another class. I won't go into it right now. You can look it up. For those of you that's watching, look up hazing. College, university hazing by fraternities. This is where it comes from. The homosexual activity. And there's some people who are so proud. It's like, yes, I'm Alpha Pi Sigma, and I'm proud. You don't know what goes on in them, but it comes from the Grecians. All right? It says, they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. So the heathen, they were the ones who celebrated and they championed homosexuality as a ritual. Before they went to war, they would do very vile acts, pedophilia acts, okay, grape acts. I got to say grape with a G, all right, so we don't get flagged. But they did these things because they thought it gave them great powers. Read on.
And made themselves uncircumcised.
Made themselves uncircumcised.
And forsook the holy covenant.
They went against God's laws.
And joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
They joined themselves to the ways of the heathen, just like today. Many people are going to join themselves in the next 25 days to do what? Do heathenistic customs, bringing a tree of Nimrod in their house. Read on.
Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms.
So he wanted rulership over those two areas, Egypt and Greece. Read on.
Wherefore we entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy.
So he went in with a great battalion, lots of artillery, lots of weaponry, big giant elephants, great chariots and horsemen. Read on.
And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him.
Ptolemy was afraid of him.
And fled. And many were wounded to death.
Ptolemy said, hey, I don't want none of that smoke. I'm out. Deuces. Read on.
Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof.
Easy pickings, because Ptolemy said, listen, I'm out. Deuces. Sayonara. So they were able to do what? To get the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and they took the spoils of Egypt. Read on.
And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt.
So Antiochus, the wicked Grecian king, he did what? He smitten Egypt. He put it to desolation. Read on.
He returned again in the 140 year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
He said, now I'm going on another conquest. I'm going against Israel, and I'm going against Jerusalem with a great army. Read on.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
So he entered proudly with pride, with a snicker on his face, with mocking and scoffing, going into our forefathers' temple to do what? What did he do to it? Let's see what he did. Read on.
And took away the golden altar.
Took away the altar where the priest would put the sacrifices on. Come on.
and the candlestick of light,
The menorah that had the 7 candles of light, he took that off as well. Come on.
and all the vessels thereof,
All the vessels of the priests' holy victuals that they would have there. He said, I'm taking all of this. Come on.
and the table of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
All of that he pulled off. Everything that you see listed in the book of Exodus that we were commanded to put in the temple, he went with all of it. He said, I'm ripping down all of this. I'm desecrating the Israelites' temple. Read on.
He took also the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found.
Every hidden treasure that he found that was tucked away, right, that we put away, like the Urim and the Thummim and the breastplate for the priests, he found those that were stashed away, and he took those things, right? Read on.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre,
So he made a great massacre, took all of those things away. Read on.
and spoke in very
He
proudly.
spoke with great vitriol and hatred and venom, very proud, very prideful of, look at what I did to the Israelites. Read on.
Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were.
Every place where the Israelites dwelt, we were mourning because of what happened to our temple and what happened to our people. Read on.
So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed.
The beauty of the women, they got changed. Right? The young men, the elders, they mourned. The young women, they couldn't take it. It was such a great desecration of what happened. Read on.
Every bridegroom took up lamentation,
Lamentation means bewailing in pain and agony. Read on.
and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness.
Read on.
The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
All of the house of Jacob was confounded because of what happened. Read on.
And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude,
Read on.
and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
So it came off as peaceable words, but it was deceitful. Read on.
For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore.
So he used easy, calm words, knowing what he wanted to do was to do what? Come suddenly upon the city and smite it. Read on.
and destroyed much people of Israel.
And destroyed much of the Israelites. Read on.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof.
So when he took all of the gold and the silver, all right, and all of the spoils, he burned down the city. Read on.
On every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle.
But I said the women, we're going to make them our slaves. The children, we're going to take them as well. All right, and the cattle, we're going to take those as well. Read on.
Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
So they took their city and they said, you know what, we're going to make this ours. It's better because we know what to do with it. We're going to put a great wall around it because they didn't know what to do with it. We're going to make it better. Read on.
And they put therein a sinful nation.
They put a sinful people in there. So now you got a bunch of sinful vagabonds running around in our land that the Most High God Yahweh gave to our forefathers as an inheritance. Now you got vagabonds, right? And very unscrupulous nations, the Grecians running around in there, running rampant in there. Read on.
Wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
Wicked men, and they fortified themselves within the walls of that city. Read on.
They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare.
Guns and butter. You know what that means? What they did was they fortified themselves with armor, weaponry, artillery, and resources. So they figured, listen, we can't be taken out of here. This is our spot. This is ours now. And you try to come and take it against us, we're going to take you out because we got enough artillery, enough weaponry enough resources, enough men to go to war if we need it. Read on.
For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary.
It was a place to lie in wait, meaning lie in wait means that you are in strategic position waiting to strike. Read on.
And an evil adversary to Israel.
Evil adversary to Israel. Read.
Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it.
So the sanctuary got defiled because our blood got spilt, all right? And it was innocent blood on every side. Read on.
Insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
Her own children left her. That's how desolate our land became after they took our land and now they made it their own. Read on.
Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness.
Like a wilderness. That's how desolate that sanctuary. They didn't even want to do nothing with that sanctuary. They just wanted to know they desecrated it. Read on.
Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt.
So we couldn't even keep our feasts in the temple because it got desecrated. Filth. Filth took over our temples. Read on.
As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning.
Her excellency, which once was, now turned into mourning. Read on.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So Antiochus said, you know what? I got a great idea. Everyone should be all of the same inclination. One world totalitarian government. Read on.
And everyone should leave his laws.
Everyone should leave his laws.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So now all the nations that were living in Greece at the time, there were different nations living there, and all of them said, you know what? The king said it, so we gonna do it. Read on.
Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Oh, many of the Israelites, your forefathers, they agreed to his religion, his one world totalitarian religion. Read on.
And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
So they started doing the things you see happening today. So it's not just now our people were sacrificing to idols, bringing Nimrod trees into their house, bowing down to Nimrod trees, giving gifts to Nimrod trees. It's not just now. It's been happening all the way going back to all of these previous captivities that we've been in. Put Israel in a captivity and they're going to just do whatever the king of that nation tell them to do. That's our people. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of our people who decided, no, I'm not doing it. And we're going to rise up and we're going to come against. But most of our people decided, I'm going to do it. It seems more appealing. It seems more attractive. Why? Because everyone's doing it. Just like today. If you tell someone you're celebrating Feast of Dedication, how will they look at you? They'll say, excuse me, what? You're celebrating what? I never heard of that. But I heard of Christmas, and we're going to make that turkey work on the 25th, and we're going to open our gifts on the 24th. That's what they're going to tell you, because it comes all the way from agreeing to their one world totalitarian religion even back then. Read on.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
They should follow the strange laws of the land. It's crazy, right? If you go back to some of the strange laws that they had, it's ridiculous. And I don't even want to go into some of them, because if I start talking about some of those strange Grecian laws, you would say, wait, who put that as a law? Who made that law? All right, like, I'm going to even just fast forward to today, Thanksgiving Day, a very strange law. Everyone does it, right? You massacre a people, you murder a people, and then celebrate it. What craziness is that, right? And then you sit, mind you, it gets crazier. You sit down and say, we're giving thanks to God. Strange laws, right, Brother Daniel? Very strange activities. A lot of strange activities, but people just do it because everyone's doing it. That's why. No one ever thinks to themselves, wait, we sitting around here, gathered here, eating a turkey, cranberry sauce, right? Green beans, mac pie. And this thing was a celebration of the native Indians dying. And we're giving thanks for it. No one ever thinks to themselves, this is a very strange custom we're following, a very strange ordinance. No one ever thinks that. Because what are they thinking about, Brother Daniel? What are they thinking about? The belly. It tastes good. Read on.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple.
Read on.
And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
They should break the Sabbaths and all the feast days. Read on.
And pollute the sanctuary and the holy people.
Pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, meaning the priests. Come on.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beast.
Now, altars and groves are high places where you go to worship idols. They set those things up. All right, read on.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with
Good.
all.
Sorry. Ever since then till now, our people hardly ever circumcise their children. They just leave them uncircumcised because it's now a tradition. You just leave your child uncircumcised. We never did that. That's something that came from, following the heathen. We were commanded that on the seventh day, you do what to your sons? You circumcise your son. You understand that? Read on.
With all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Good. Just like Daniel 7:25 says what? They're going to change times and change laws. That's what they came here to do. But you don't be foolish and go along with it. Read on. Verse 50.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
If you didn't follow the king's orders, you would die. Read on.
In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
So they commanded those cities specifically to sacrifice. Come on, read on.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land.
They committed grave evils by sacrificing unto these idols. They were commanded to sacrifice to these idols. Read on.
And drove the Israelites into secret places.
Drove them into secret places.
Even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
Read on.
Now, the 15th day of the month, Caslu, in the 140th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
All throughout the cities, they built idols on every side. Read on.
And burnt incense at the doors of their houses
Wow.
and in the streets.
Wow. So these incense was burnt unto the idols. Read on.
And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
They did what?
They burnt them with fire.
They burnt your Bibles with fire. Just like today, how they're saying that they don't want the Bibles read in the schools. They want to take the Bibles and prayer out of schools. That's what they always try to do. Remove God's word. Read on.
And whosoever was found with the book of the testament,
Anybody found with the Bible on their person, come on.
or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Anybody found following these laws of God, you would be put to death. Anybody found with the Bible in their house or on their person would be put to death. Now, you gonna tell me that this book don't hold some power? That I don't find no other book on the face of the earth that persons are so ardent, right? And so meticulously focused on removing and not opening this book, because you can't tell me this book ain't got some power. I haven't seen any other book, no Egyptian coffin text, no Quran, no other 42 laws of Ma'at. I haven't seen nothing as powerful as this book, to the point where all the other nations, they want to ban it. In every state, in every city, they want to burn it. They want to get rid of it. And you want to tell me this book ain't got some power? Don't fool yourselves, Israel. This book, these words of God got power. And the nations, they know it. Guess who don't know it? Our people. Read on.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities.
Good. So they did this by the authority, right? And they did it to the Israelites every month. They found new Israelites every month to do what? To kill them. Why? They got the Bible on them, or they're following God's laws. Read on.
Now the 25th day of the month.
Now let me just say this before you move on. This gonna happen again, and a lot of y'all gonna get scared. Like when they start looking for people who got the Bible and who following the laws, you might say, man, I can't. Listen, you better stand up for the Most High God no matter what happens. Somebody put a gun to your head and say, listen, denounce the Most High Yahweh right now. You better just look them in the eye and say, I will not do such thing. And you do what you got to do, because I'm going to regenerate anyway. And I'm going to see you in the next life when I regenerate, and you better pray to God that the Most High don't give you power over you, so that you're going to meet that punishment. You tell them that, and you teach your sons that. You teach your daughters that. To stand in the face of adversity when they want you to deny your God. Never deny God. Never deny Christ. Because Christ said, anyone that denies him or the Father, he will deny them on the day of judgment. So you better look whoever in the eye and tell them, do what you have to do, because I'm going to regenerate anyway. You could do what you want to do to me now. I'm coming back. Don't be afraid to go. You coming back. You coming back. But you want to make sure when you're coming back, you went out keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Because when you come back, if you wasn't keeping them, you're going to come back to what the Bible calls pain after the second death. You don't want that. That's going to be long and torturous. You don't want that. What you want to do is when you regenerate, you went out of here keeping God's laws. So when you come back, Revelation 2:26 kicks in. He says, to him who endured to the end, to him I will give power over the nations. You coming back, Brother Daniel. You understand that? You're coming back. Don't be afraid to go, because you're coming right back. Read on.
They did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women. Certain women. They had caused their children to be circumcised.
So any woman they found who was circumcising their sons, they put them to death. Read on.
And they hanged the infants about their necks.
They hung the children on their necks. Come on.
And rifled their houses.
They rampled and ransacked their houses. Come on.
And slew them that had circumcised them.
They slew the women that circumcised those children. Read on.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
So many women who stand fast and resolute for God's laws. Come on.
Wherefore, they're rather to die.
They're rather to what?
To die.
Sisters, understand your foremothers weren't no little small, like immature women who was just kiki laughing. Those women stood for God's laws, and they looked death in the eye. And if you had to kill them for keeping God's laws, they would tell you, so be it. That's how you need to raise your children as an Israelite woman. Listen, I always tell brothers this. Listen, you don't know about our Israelite women, man. Our Israelite foremothers were some women that, trust me, you don't want to come across them. Because although they're meek, although they're gentle, although they're very, modest, those women who stand resolute for God's laws have something in them that no matter what, they always stand for God's laws. And even in the threat of death, they don't mind saying, deuces, I'll catch you on the regeneration. They don't mind. But today, our women have become westernized. Our women have become very, drawn away from our foremothers, Israelites' cultures. And so they're not as resolute as they used to be. But through the Spirit of the Most High and through you watching classes like these and through you being proud of your heritage and your culture, your women can now understand the role that they play. They're the backbone to our nation. I don't want no one to think that women, they play a mediocre role in our nation. The women play a very pivotal and vital role in raising the children and being the backbone for the family. Very pivotal role. There's no strong man you're going to see in the forefront without that strong woman right behind him. Understand that. You're stronger together, Israelite man and Israelite woman, Hispanic man and Hispanic woman, Native Indian man and Native Indian woman. You are stronger together. Read on.
Wherefore, they rather to die.
They rather to die. Come on.
That they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
So then they died. You know, when we're coming into the truth, persons always ask these hypothetical questions when they start learning about the dietary law. So what if you're on an island and you're stranded and there's nothing to eat and there's some pigs in the bushes? Won't God just understand and you just eat the... No. I rather to die than to defile my body with meats. I will not transgress God's laws to satisfy my belly. Well, God wouldn't want you to die now. Well, he wants me to keep his laws. But if dying is in the process of me keeping his laws, I would rather die. Simple as that. It says it in verse 63 that those women, no, these wasn't even the men. These were the women. It says wherefore they would rather to die. These are the women of Israel. Our modest, beautiful sisters that we so love. They're so precious. But yet, this is the countenance that they have. They would rather to die. Understand this. Read on.
And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Very great wrath upon Israel. Understand that. All right? So, we're reading about the account. All right? What led up to the Feast of Dedication. All right? We just read First Maccabees. All right? So now, let's backtrack. Well, let's forward track. We don't want to backtrack yet. But let's forward track to First Maccabees 3. All right? So we can see the rise of Judas Maccabeus. You know, as we turn there, I want everyone to have a profound, great sense of pride and being proud of your forefathers. We don't hear enough about the heroes and the valiant men and the men of, you know, who were stalwarts, who stood for our laws. You tend to look at television and the media, and you tend to see other nations. They're represented by, you know, their icons. And so in Israel, you know, our icons don't get spoken of enough or at all. And so our children grow up thinking that the other nations, they have superheroes, they have, you know, great men of valor, great mighty men. But you tend to very rarely hear about the men of Israel, the ancient men who stood firm and resolute for God's laws. But now we're reading about them so that you can now have a sense of pride, being proud, honor for your forefathers and the lineage of where you come from. All right? So you can celebrate the Feast of Dedication in a very powerful way with meaning. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. And his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead.
So Judas was called Maccabeus. Read on.
And all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that were held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel.
Okay, they fought with cheerfulness. Read on.
So he gat his people with great honor, and put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him.
Read.
And he made battles, protecting the host with his sword.
Read on.
In his acts, he was like a lion.
He was like a what?
He was like a lion.
Judas Maccabeus was like a lion. That's how fierce he was. His countenance was great and fierce, and it was described as a lion. That's your forefather. These are the men that you don't get here spoken about very often. But that was his countenance. Very powerful, very strong. He was like a lion. Read on.
And like a lion's whelp roaring for his prey.
Come on.
For he pursued the wicked and sought them out and burnt up those that vex his people.
So he looked for the wicked. He sought them out. All right. He put an end to them. Read on.
Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him, and all the workers of iniquity were troubled.
So they shrunk, meaning that they were so scared of this guy, Judas Maccabeus, that they didn't want no trouble, no problems. They made themselves very small, not to be found if he was coming around. Read on.
Because salvation prospered in his hand.
Because the Lord put the might and power in his hand that anything that he's cutting through will get chopped down. Read on.
He grieved also many kings.
Many kings were upset at this man, Judas Maccabeus, your forefather. They were upset. Anytime his name come up, kings would be wroth with anger. Read on.
And made Jacob glad with his acts. And his memorial is blessed forever.
His memorial is blessed forever because of his acts and the things that he did on behalf of his nation. Read on.
Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel.
So he turned away wrath from Israel by doing what? Putting wicked outside of Israel, meaning he destroyed the ungodly out of them. Read on.
So that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth.
His fame reached the utmost parts of the earth. That's how much persons heard about his great acts. Read on.
And he received unto him such as were ready to perish.
Read on.
Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together and a great host out of Samaria to fight against Israel.
Okay, so now they're going up to fight against Israel when Apollonius, he said, I'm going to gather the Gentiles together. Come on.
Which thing, when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him. And so he smote him and slew him. Many also fell down slain, but the rest fled.
But the rest said, I'm out of here. You ain't going to slew me like that. Read on.
Wherefore Judas took their spoils.
Judas took their spoils. Come on.
And Apollonius swore also. And therewith he fought all his life long.
Read on.
Now, when Seron, a prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of the faithful to go out with him to war.
Read.
He said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas and them that are with him.
He said, I'm going to go make a name for myself and go fight with Judas. Come on.
Who despised the king's commandment.
Read on.
So he made him ready to go up, and there went with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel.
To be avenged of the children of Israel. Read on.
And when he came near to the ford going up to Beth-horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, How shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great with a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? Unto whom Judas answered, It is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few, and with the God of heaven it is all one, to deliver with a great multitude or a small company.
Or a small company. Read on.
For the victory of the battle standeth not in the multitude of an host.
It's not about how much in the multitude. Come on.
But strength cometh from heaven.
But what?
Strength cometh from heaven.
So understand this. And TOC, understand this. It's not about how many men that you have with you. It's about the strength that the Lord gives you from heaven. You could have 3 brothers and take over the whole world with 3 brothers. It's not about the strength and the host of the multitude and the numbers that you got. It's about, read the last part, it's about what? But the what?
But strength cometh from heaven.
But the strength that comes from the Most High God. Read on.
They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, and our wives and children, and to spoil us.
So they come to destroy us and our wives and children. Read on.
But we fight
But we fight, come on,
for our lives,
for our lives
and our laws.
and our laws, come on.
Wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them.
Be not afraid of them, because the Lord is on your side. Read on.
Now as soon as he had left off speaking, he leapt suddenly upon them, and so Saron and his host was overthrown before him.
Oh, so now they got overthrown immediately. Suddenly, it says they got taken out. With the blink of an eye. That's how the Lord works. In the blink of an eye. What was different yesterday can be different today. Read on.
And they pursued them from the going down of Betharon unto the plain, where were slain about 800 men of them.
800 men of them got slain. Come on.
And the residue fled into the land of the Philistines.
The rest of them fled and said, listen, we gone into the land of the Philistines. Read on.
Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren, and an exceeding great dread to fall upon the nations round about them, insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas. Now, when King Antiochus heard these things, he was full of indignation.
So Antiochus heard these things and he was full of indignation and wrath and anger. Read on.
Wherefore he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army.
He said, I'm gathering all my troops together. Read on.
He opened also his treasure and gave his soldiers pay for a year.
He said, I'm going to pay them a year in advance. This is how aggressive I'm moving on this situation. Read on.
Commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them.
He said, just be on standby for when I need you. Read on.
Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasures failed, and that the tributes in the country were small, because of the dissension and plague, which he had brought upon the land in taking away the laws which had been of old time.
So he realized his money failed. His money ran out. The tribute money, the treasury money, it ran out. Read on.
He feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abounded above the kings that were before him. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind,
he
determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries and to gather much money.
He wanted to go into Persia to gather the money from over there. Read on.
So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt.
Read on.
And to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again.
Read.
Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he would have done, as also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem.
Read.
To wit, that he should send an army against them to destroy and root out the strength of Israel.
Root out the strength of Israel. Come on.
And the remnant of Jerusalem, and to take away their memorial from that place.
Take away the memory of them from that place. Read on.
And that he should place strangers in all their quarters, and divide their land by lot.
Put Gentile heathens in there and divide up their lands and divide up their spoils. Read on.
So the king took the half of the forces that remained, and departed from Antioch, his royal city, the 147th year. And having passed the river Euphrates, he went through the high countries.
Read on.
Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Dorymenes, Nicanor, and Gorgias, mighty men of the king's friends.
Read on.
And with them he sent 40,000 footmen.
40,000 footmen. Read on.
And 7,000 horsemen. To go into the land of Judah and to destroy it.
To destroy the land of Judah. Read on.
As the king commanded.
Read.
So they went forth with all their power, and came and pitched by Emos in the plain country.
Read.
And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves.
So imagine that. To buy the children of Israel for slaves. Read on.
A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them.
Read on.
Now, When Judas and his brethren saw that miseries were multiplied,
So Judas and his brothers realized that miseries were multiplying with their people. Read on.
and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people,
They knew that the king gave that commandment to kill their people. Come on.
and utterly abolished
And
them.
to utterly put them to waste. Read on.
They said one to another, "Let us restore the decayed fortune of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary."
Let us fight for our people and the sanctuary. See, what happens is every captivity, the Lord raises up men who decide, you know what? We're not going to sit down and just take it like that. We're going to rise up, we're going to gather our men together, and we're going to fight. Those are the men you don't really hear about. Those are the heroes of your people that don't get spoken about very often. But you're reading about them this very moment right now so that you can be proud about your lineage and who you come from. These are the brave men of your nation. Read on.
Then was the congregation gathered together,
They gathered the congregation together,
that they might be ready for battle,
so they readied them for battle.
and that they might pray and ask mercy and
They
compassion.
prayed to the Lord and asked for mercy, forgiveness, and compassion. Read on.
Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down,
Sanctuary got trodden down.
and aliens kept the stronghold.
Aliens, meaning Gentiles of the other nations, they kept the stronghold. Come on.
The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased.
Because no feast days were happening, because all of the desolate people in our land got obliterated. So there was no feasts happening. Read on.
Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Maspha over against Jerusalem. For in Maspha was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel.
Mashpah was the place that they prayed before time. Come on.
Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes.
When you run into problems and you have an enemy that's upon you that's very great and you don't know how you're going to get around that problem, your forefathers put sackcloth on, they rent their garments, and they fasted. Israel, that is something you should do when there's something great facing you. Don't bother look to the left and look to the right. There's something great facing you, you know what to do. Your forefathers did it. They fasted. Read on.
And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
Now it said that they fasted, and what they did right after that, they laid open the book of the law. So you can't just fast and it doesn't come with the Bible, the scriptures, the keeping of the laws. Fasting and prayer go hand in hand. Keeping God's commandments and fasting goes hand in hand. Read on.
They brought also the priest's garments and first fruits and the tithes, and the Nazarites they stirred up, who had accomplished their days. Then cried they with a loud voice toward heaven, saying, What shall we do with these, and whither shall we carry them away?
Read on.
For thy sanctuary is trodden down and profaned, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low.
Read on.
And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us, thou knowest.
Read.
How shall we be able to stand against them, except thou, O God, be our help?
How else you going to be able to stand against them except the Most High Yahweh be your help? And you know what? The Most High always puts you in a position when there's a great feat against you that the only thing that can help you will be help from the Most High God, so that nothing else can take the credit for it. He always does that because he reserves that credit for himself. So sometimes don't look at the fact that you're in such a great perplexing situation. He did that so that he can get the glory. I want everyone to understand that. Your forefathers understood that. Read on.
Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice, And after this, Judas ordained captains over the people,
Judas ordained captains, come on.
even captains over thousands,
Even captains over thousands.
and over hundreds,
And over hundreds.
and over 50s,
And over 50s.
and over 10s.
And over 10s. Read on, because our forefathers, when it came to strategizing and battle and, enlisting in the Lord's army, they made sure that law was always followed. That comes from the law. How many of you know that comes from the law? When Moses was told to do what? Assign the elders and the captains and the officers. You must do it. If you're in the army of the Lord, you must do it. Because I know brothers today, they love to say, I don't care about titles, or it's not about the title, it's about what you do in your stead, in your title. It's not about the title. It's not about being a captain or an officer or a soldier and having that title. It's about what you do in that stead. Everyone gets it. So you must, if you're going to be in the army of the Lord, you must appoint captains. You must appoint officers. You must appoint soldiers. Read on.
But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house, according to the law.
According to the law. Because if you were betrothed, if you had vineyards, or if you were fearful, the scriptures in the law says, send those men back home. You don't want a fearful men out there with you, because if you're out there to battle and you're out there for the Lord's purpose, and someone is very afraid, what's going to happen? He's going to foil the whole operation. It's going to happen. And he's going to be afraid. And I keep using this example. You watch these movies where they're going on a heist. They're on the heist and they're in the back of the van. And they've practiced for months. They've practiced this routine inside and out. And all of them have the schematic of where they're going to do the heist at. And all of them have the artillery. All of them have the weaponry. All of them have the rounds that they need should something pop off. They need to. All of them have practiced this thing. And then in the back of the van, they always got that one brother. What he going to be like saying? He going to be saying what? Hey, y'all sure we want to do this? And all the rest of them watching him like, brother, we practiced this for months. What you mean if we sure? Of course we got children to feed. Of course we sure. We're going to knock off this casino because that casino owner, that manager, he's absolutely diabolical, and we going to rook him for that money. Right? And that one brother like, but y'all sure? Suppose something go wrong. Now, I'm sure you've seen the movies where immediately that brother who talking like that, they stop the van one time. They say, listen, get him out of here. Stop. Stop the van, kick him out the van. Because what's going to happen is he's going to be operating off of emotions. He's going to, not remember the plan. He's going to be scared. He's going to do something wrong. He's going to compromise his other teammates. And he just might, he's like that one brother on First 48. All they got to do is just bring all the McDonald's and all the food and he going to just start talking. Well, yes, the first person that's involved in this thing, his name is Kevin Jones, and he lives at 32 Mulberry. Oh, that's some Oreo sandwiches over there. The ice cream ones with the fudge. Yeah, let me get that. They got the Coke over there. Let me get. He done singing, because the scriptures read that last part when it says those that planted vineyards or were fearful. Read that again.
Those that planted vineyards or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return.
They should return back home.
Every man to his own house.
Every man to his own house.
According to the law.
According to the law, because the law says if a man is afraid when it comes to going out to war, going out to battle for the Lord's purpose, send him back home. Read on.
So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emos.
Read on.
And Judas said, arm yourselves and be valiant men.
Judas said, arm yourselves, be valiant men. Come on.
And see that ye be in readiness against the morning,
And be ready tomorrow morning. Come on.
that ye may fight with these nations
That you may fight against these nations. Come on.
that are assembled together against
That
us,
came together against us
to destroy us and our
to
sanctuary.
kill us and to remove our sanctuary. Read on.
For it is better for us to die in battle
It is better for us to die in battle. I want all the men to understand that. Dying in battle is something very glorious to the Lord. Don't be that one brother talking about, are you sure the Lord ain't want us to return back home to, but no! It is better to die in battle. You understand that, right, Brother Daniel? If you die in battle, you coming back anyway. You coming back. You going to regenerate anyway. And you're going to be spoken of in the kingdom for time to come that you were a valiant and brave soldier. Just like how you're reading about your forefathers now, then you'll be reading about the valiant men who stood for the Lord now. I want everyone to understand that. So read that again from the top. It is better.
For it is better for us to die in battle
Better to die in battle, come on,
than to behold the calamities of our people.
than to behold the calamities of our people. Because when you look at our people and what's happening to them, it's so grievous to behold that we cannot bear to see that happening. So it's better for us to go and make something happen before something makes us to happen. Read on.
And our sanctuary.
Read.
Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven, so let him do.
So let him do whatever, either which way it go. You can't be like, but we're outnumbered. Either which way it go. We going out with a fight. Well, they got more men than us. We going out with a fight. Either which way that the Lord have it go, it's going to go. But one thing we not going to do is we going to just stand here in a corner and do nothing and see what's happening to our people. You got to love your people enough, men of the Lord. And now, fast forward to today. You've enlisted in the Lord's army. You're training to be a soldier. You're training to be an officer. You're training to be a captain. Understand the state that your people are in. You must do something about it. You cannot stand on the wayside and talk about, nah, we can't go out and feed the sheep. Nah, we can't go do that. It don't grieve your heart to see the state that our people is in? It should. Your forefathers cared about what happened to our people. And you should too. And it should move you. And it should grieve you to the point where you said, you know what? We're not going to take it sitting down. So today, what does that mean? That means you're going to go out and teach your people and wake them up. And nothing will stop you. Yes, they will have things coming against you, but the Lord is on your side should you be keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments and the faith of Christ. You have that on your side. There's nothing that can stop you. Good. So now we'll get into the cleansing, all right? The cleansing. Let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 4, and we'll just get straight to the point, all right? 1 Maccabees chapter 4, start me off at verse 43.
1 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 43. Who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place.
Read on.
And when, as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down.
Thought it best to pull it down, come on.
Lest it should be a reproach to them.
Lest it should be a reproach to them.
Because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down.
The heathen had defiled it. Read on.
And laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place until there should come a prophet to show them what should be done with them.
Until a prophet came to show them what should be done. Read on.
Then they took whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former.
So they built a new altar according to the former. Come on.
And made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple and hallowed the courts.
They hallowed the courts. Read on.
They made also new holy vessels,
And
into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings,
the menorahs and the burnt offerings. Come on.
and of incense and the table.
And the incense that brought that thing and on the table, come on.
And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, and that they might give light in the temple.
That they might give light in the temple. So understand that's the menorah they're speaking of. Read on. The menorah, the 7 candlestick holder. Read on.
Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread out the veils and finished all the works which they had begun to make.
The loaves. Who know what kind of loaves this is? It's talking about the shewbread. The shewbread that the priest would have on the altar. Read on.
Now on the 5 and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning.
They rose up betimes in the morning. Come on.
And offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings.
Good. So they offered lawful sacrifices on the new altar. Read on.
Which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs.
It was what?
Dedicated with songs.
The new altar was what?
Dedicated with songs.
They rededicated the new altar with songs. Come on.
And citherns and harps and cymbals.
Citherns, harps, and cymbals. So now mirth is back in Israel. Joy is back in Israel. Read on.
Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success.
Who had given them good success. Read on.
And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
So they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness. Come on, read on.
They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold.
Crowns of gold.
And with shields.
And with shields.
And the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hang doors upon them.
Hang doors upon them. Read on.
Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away.
The reproach of the heathen was put away. They took that heathen out of our nation. Come on.
Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year, by the space of 8 days.
By the space of 8 days, year to year. Every year you keep the Feast of Dedication. 8 days. Come on.
From the 5 and 20th day of the month, Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they builded up the Mount Sion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea.
That the people might have a defense against the Idumeans. Who are the Idumeans? Who are the Idumeans? Y'all don't know. Y'all ain't been studying. Who are the Idumeans? The Edomites. That's the Idumeans. Y'all got to study. All right, good. So now you understand. Okay? They cleansed the temple. The people celebrated with joy and mirth. A great enemy was put out of Israel. Judas Maccabeus and his brethren, they fought valiantly to put out the heathen out of our country, out of our temple, because they desecrated that thing. All right? So, we're going to move on. All right? We just read 1 Maccabees 4. All right? They rededicated the temple. Give me 2 Maccabees chapter 10. 2 Maccabees chapter 10. Start from verse 1.
2 Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 1. Now, Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city. But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street, and also the chapels, they pulled down.
They pulled down the chapels, come on.
And having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking stones, they took fire out of them, and offered a sacrifice after 2 years, and set forth incense and lights and shewbread.
So they set forth incense and lights and shewbread. The shewbread for the priest on the altar. Understand, this is what they did after the cleansing of the temple. Read on.
When that was done, they fell flat down and besought the Lord that they might come no more into such troubles. But if they sinned any more against him, that he himself would chasten them with mercy, and that they might not be delivered unto the blasphemous and barbarous nations.
Read on.
Now, upon the same day that the strangers profaned the temple, and on the very same day it was cleansed again, even the 25th and 20th day of the same month, which is Caslu. And they kept the 8 days with gladness.
8 days with gladness.
As in the feast of the tabernacles.
Just as the Feast of Tabernacles. But they couldn't go to war during the Feast of Tabernacles. So they dedicated 8 days to the Lord when it came to the rededication of the temple. Read on.
Remembering that not long afore they had held the Feast of the Tabernacles.
Watch this.
When as they wandered in the mountains and dens like beasts.
Read on.
Therefore they bare branches.
And
fir
boughs.
And palms also.
And palms.
And sang psalms unto him that had given them good success in cleansing his place.
Read.
They ordained also by a common statute and decree that every year those days should be kept of the whole nation of the Jews.
The whole nation of the Israelites would keep those 8 days every year. Read on.
And this was the end of Antiochus, called Epiphanes.
This was the end of that great enemy, Antiochus. All right? Called Epiphanes. Read on.
Now will we declare the acts of Antiochus, Eupator, who was the son of this wicked man.
Son of this wicked man. Come on.
Gathering briefly the calamities of the wars.
Read.
So when he was come to the crown, he set one Lysias over the affairs of his realm, and appointed him his chief governor of Seleucia and Phoenice. For Ptolemaeus, that was called Macron, choosing rather to do justice unto the Jews for the wrong that had been done unto them, endeavored to continue peace with them.
Read on.
Whereupon, being accused of the king's friends before Eupator, and called traitor at every word, because he had left Cyprus, that Philometor had committed unto him, and departed to Antiochus Epiphanes, and seeing that he was in no honorable place, he was so discouraged that he poisoned himself. And died.
And he died. Read on.
But when Georgius was governor of the holds, he hired soldiers and nourished war continually with the Jews.
Read.
And therewithal, the Idumeans, having gotten into their hands the most commodious holds, kept the Jews occupied, and receiving those that were banished from Jerusalem, they went about to nourish war.
They went about to now propagate war. Read on.
Then they that were with Maccabeus made supplication and besought God that he would be their helper, and so they ran with violence upon the strongholds of the Idumeans.
So those that were with Maccabeus, they made supplication to the Lord, and they besought God that he would be their help, and they ran with violence upon the strongholds of the Idumeans. Who's the Idumeans? The Edomites. Read on.
And assaulting them strongly, they won the holds, and kept off all that fought upon the wall, and slew all that fell into their hands, and killed no fewer than 20,000.
No fewer than 20,000. That's how many men they slayed. Read on.
And because certain who were no less than 9,000 were fled together into 2 very strong castles, having all manner of things convenient to sustain the siege. Maccabeus left Simon and Joseph, and Zacchaeus also, and them that were with him, who were enough to besiege them, and departed himself unto those places which more needed his help.
Read.
Now, they that were with Simon, being led with covetousness,
they had covetousness. Those who were with Simon, come on,
were persuaded for money.
Through
certain of those that were in the castle, and took 70,000 drachms, and let some of them escape.
Read on.
But when he was told Maccabeus what was done, he called the governors of the people together, and accused those men that they had sold their brethren for money.
Sold their brothers for money, come on.
And set their enemies free to fight against them.
Continue.
So he slew those that were found traitors and immediately took the 2 castles.
He slew the traitors and immediately took the 2 castles. Read on.
And having good success with his weapons in all things he took in hand, he slew in the 2 holds more than 20,000.
More than 20,000 he slew. Read on.
Now Timotheus, whom the Jews had overcome before, when he had gathered a great multitude of foreign forces and horses out of Asia, not a few, came as though he would take Jewry by force of arms.
By force of arms. Read on.
But when he drew near, they that were with Maccabeus turned themselves to pray unto God, and sprinkled earth upon their heads, and girded their loins with sackcloth.
What are they doing here when they sprinkle earth upon their heads and put on sackcloth? They're fasting and praying to the Lord. Read on.
And fell down at the foot of the altar, and besought him to be merciful to them.
Read.
And to be an enemy to their enemies, and an adversary to their adversaries, as the law declareth.
Come on.
So after the prayer they took their weapons.
After they prayed, they took their weapons.
And went on further from the city. And when they drew near to their enemies, they kept by themselves.
They kept by themselves. Read.
Now, the sun being newly risen, they joined both together, the one part having together with their virtue their refuge, also unto the Lord for a pledge of their success and victory. The other side making their rage leader of their battle.
Read on.
But when the battle waxed strong, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men upon horses, with bridles of gold.
Bridles of gold.
And 2 of them led the Jews.
2 of them led the Jews. Read on.
And took Maccabeus betwixt them, and covered them on every side weapons, and kept him safe.
Kept him safe. Come on.
But shot arrows and lightnings against the enemies.
Arrows and lightnings against the enemies. Who's doing this? The Lord is doing this. Read on.
So that being confounded with blindness.
They got blinded. Read on.
And full of trouble, they were killed.
They got killed because they got confounded due to them being blinded. The Lord can step in a moment when the Lord is on your side. Read on.
And they were slain of footmen, 20,500.
20,000, or let's put it this way, 25,000 men. Come on.
And 600 horsemen.
And 600 horsemen. Read.
As for Timotheus himself, he fled into a very strong hold called Gara, where Chereas was governor.
Read on.
But they that were with Maccabeus laid siege against the fortress courageously 4 days.
Courageously 4 days. Read.
And they that were within, trusting to the strength of the place, blasphemed exceedingly and uttered wicked words.
Uttered exceedingly wicked words.
Nevertheless, upon the 5th day, early, 20 young men of Maccabeus' company, inflamed with anger because of the blasphemies, assaulted the wall manly, and with a fierce courage killed all they that met withal.
Read on.
Otherwise, likewise ascending after them, whilst they were busied with them that were within, burnt the towers, and kindling fires, burnt the blasphemers alive. And others broke upon the gates, and having received in the rest of the army, took the city.
Verse 37.
And killed Timotheus, that was hid in a certain pit, and Chereas his brother with Apollophanes.
So they killed Timotheus, that was hid in a certain pit, and Chereas his brother, and Apollophanes. Come on.
When this was done, they praised the Lord with psalms and thanksgiving.
Psalms and thanksgiving.
Who had done so great things for Israel, and given them to victory.
And given them the victory. Understand that. So every time the Most High gave us that victory, all right, we praised by singing psalms, having mirth, having joy, celebrating. You understand that? So it connects also because we couldn't keep the Feast of Tabernacles during, that battle. So we kept 8 days. That's the spiritual meaning behind those 8 days. All right? So understand the symbolism behind. Read verse 7 for me again.
Then Maccabeus himself, first of all, took weapons, exhorting the other that they would jeopard themselves together with him to help their brethren. So they went forth together with a willing mind.
With a what?
Willing mind.
So when it comes to whatever you have to do for the Lord, what you have to do it with?
With a willing mind.
With a willing mind, men. Understand that. You cannot do anything for the Lord and you're doing it begrudgingly. It must be with a willing mind. Don't drag your feet. Don't, one today, one tomorrow. They wouldn't have gotten the victory if they did not move with a willing mind. Everything you do, I always say this to the men, do it aggressively. Otherwise, you're not going to get the victory in whatever you're doing, in whatever compartment of your life that you're trying to be victorious in, you're trying to be successful in. Do it aggressively. What does aggressively mean? With a willing mind and everything in your power, you are doing to accomplish everything. You can't be doing some things. It has to be everything in your power. All right? Good. So now, Christ kept the feast of dedication. How many of you know that? Let's get John 10 and 22. John 10 verse 22. The book of St. John, chapter 10, verse 22.
John chapter 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication.
Feast of the dedication.
And it was winter.
It was what?
And it was winter.
So, feast of dedication was in the winter time. Read on.
And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, How long dost thou make us to doubt?
Good. So understand this. Christ kept it. He was at the feast of dedication, right? So we got to proudly follow his example by also keeping. And isn't it funny? You talk to Christians all day, asking them, do you keep the feast of dedication? I don't know what that is. Christ kept it. Really? Show me that in the Bible. John 20 and 22. Oh, I never realized that was there all this time. But that was a long time ago. Oh, but you keep Christmas. That was introduced by the Druids and the Celtics. And you do it, and it was you do it. Let's be real. You just want to be wicked. That's all it is. All right? So we should be proud. Be proud to celebrate the Feast of Dedication. All right? It's part of your identity, part of your heritage. All right? There's power behind this feast. Let's get Proverbs 22 and verse 28. Proverbs 22 and verse 28. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 28.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark.
Don't remove the ancient landmark, come on.
Which thy fathers have set.
Which your fathers have set in place, set in motion. You say it was a long time ago. You say, that was just back then. We're doing different things. It says, read it again from the top. Remove what? 28, verse 28.
Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set.
Which your fathers have set. Go ahead.
Seest thou a man diligent in his business?
Okay, that's it on that. Give me Psalms 135 and verse 4. Psalms 135, verse 4.
Psalms 135 and verse 4. For the Lord hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure.
His peculiar special treasure. That means anything that he gives to Israel to celebrate, you should absolutely be proud to celebrate, because the Most High made Israel his peculiar treasure. And he didn't give that to the other nations. He gave that to you. So whatever feast that he gave to you, you should celebrate that thing with great proudness. All praises. So, it's your heritage. It's a record of our resilience, our bravery, all right, our valiance as men. It celebrates our obedience in coming back to God's laws, even while we were under persecution, all right? It honors the righteous warriors who fought on behalf of the Most High's armies, all right? They fought for the laws of God. And it's a stark reminder that Israel, we always rise even when we're outnumbered. That should speak to your spirit. All right? Good. So now, You got to let this feast apply personally to you. Personally. All right, give me Romans 12 and verse 1. Because although there aren't any temples that are standing today, currently right now, Romans 12 and verse 1.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Present your bodies a living sacrifice. What does that mean? Your body is that temple now. You got to rededicate yourself to God now, spiritually, with a spiritual cleansing. You got to leave off from your sins. You got to stop breaking God's laws. The things that the Bible said you should do, you've been messing up and you have not been doing that. It's now is the time. Now is the time to do what? Dedicate your life back to the Most High God. Read on.
Holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
It's your reasonable service because your body is the temple. 1 Corinthians 3 and 16. Your body's now the temple.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?
You are the temple of the living God. Come on.
And that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you.
And the Spirit of God dwells in those that keep his commandments. Read on.
If any man defile the temple of God,
Any man defile the temple,
him shall God destroy.
him shall God destroy.
For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are.
So if you've been doing drugs, you've been smoking weed, you've been snorting coke, you've been smoking crack, you've been doing methamphetamines, you've been shooting up heroin, you've been very bad to your body that the Most High gave to you to look after and to be a good steward over your body. You only got one body, but you're taking it and running it into the ground. Why do you want to do that to yourself, young man, young woman? As a young woman, your body's a temple. You open your legs for every man that gives you some interest. He gives you some attention. You open your legs for that. Why would you do that to yourself, young woman? Your body is a temple. Why would you turn yourself into being a whore? The laws of God says, do not whore out the daughters of Israel. Men, if you have sons, your son is not old enough to be looking after a woman. He should not be having sex with a woman. If your son is a teenager, you should not be having sex. There's no boyfriends and girlfriends in the Bible. There's no such thing. That's westernized culture. There's husbands and wives in the Bible. You understand that? And so, when it comes to your body being a temple, don't take your body and do things with it that you should not. You only have one body. And you don't want to join yourselves to harlots or whores, because even Paul broke down for you. If you join yourself to a harlot and a whore, you're now one with that whore. You and that whore is now one. You understand that? You can't serve the Lord if you're joined unto idols. You're joined unto harlots. You can't do that. All right? Good. So you are the temple of the living God. All right? So just like they rededicated the temple, all right, Judas Maccabeus and his brothers, we must now rededicate our own spiritual temple today. We must do it. So this is the season where you're going to rededicate. You know, some people, they renew their vows with their wives. Like they do it some do it every 5 years, some do it every 10 years. Rededicate yourself to the Lord during this season of the feast of dedication. Pray to him. Ask for forgiveness for the things you know you did. And now rededicate your life back to him. And it should show. It should show in your actions. It should show in the way you speak. It should show in your diligence to study the word. It should show in your diligence to getting your house in order. It should show in your diligence to making sure that you're doing everything that the Lord commanded you, to keep your vows, to do everything that you told the Lord that you would do. Everything that you told the Lord that you would absolutely do that you faltered on doing. Now is the time to rededicate yourself to the Lord and do it. And don't falter and don't make excuses, because the scriptures say, any man that findeth an excuse, right, according to his will, is because of sin. All right? Good. So we're going to end it there today. Israel, Happy Feast of Dedication once again. I pray that you celebrate it with mirth, with joy, with gladness, and with all the great things that the Most High has to offer for you and your families and your loved ones. I pray that you go into this season with a profound understanding that your forefathers risked their lives. They fought for our laws. They were brave and valiant men, and you should now have a great, profound sense of proudness and just beaming with pride, knowing that the men of the nation of Israel put their lives on the line so that you can now keep your laws today, even in captivity. Because we wouldn't have been able to keep these laws in captivity if someone didn't stand up to the enemy. And so now we're in this captivity. We're allowed. We can keep our laws. So we don't have any excuse to say, oh, I can't do it. The government won't allow me to come to the Sabbath day. Your forefather, Judas Maccabeus, fought so that you in this captivity can absolutely celebrate your feast days. So let's give it up for the Most High Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, for our forefathers that put their lives on the line to make sure that we could keep these laws even in our captivity. All praises to the Most High. Israel, we love you. Happy Feast of Dedication once again. And, we're looking forward to seeing all of the beautiful pictures with all of the beautiful families having up their Feast of Lights, putting up your lights and your decor and your menorahs and all of the amazing things and the accoutrements that you got planned. As for us, we're about to feast. We're about to get our feast on. And all praises to the Most High. We'll catch you on the next one. What's that? On the new moon. We're going to catch you on the new moon. Ah, yes. The new moon is coming up this week. I think it's what? Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? Wednesday evening, right? Good. So we're going to catch you on the new moon class. Israel, it's been real. All praises to the Most High. Shalom. Hey, let's give it up for the Most High once again. Happy